Hi, I'm Jeff Coyle, the co-founder and chief strategy officer for MarketMuse, and welcome to Content Strategy Collective Live 2022. It's very exciting. Today, we're having a fireside chat with the head of influencer marketing from Duda, Anton Shulke, who will be joining us to talk about how to use influencer marketing, how to align influencer marketing with your content strategy. Um, Anton, thank you for joining us. I'm so excited about this. And what have you been working on recently? What are some exciting things that you want to tell us about before we get into our discussion?
Thanks, Jeff, for having me. It's a great honor. I've seen faces of people who are in the same conference, and I'm very honored to be here. We can go into influence marketing, or we can go into what I've been doing for the last
Oh
couple of
no,
months.
we'll get into that in the tail end. But
Yeah,
no, that's
for
great.
what I've been doing for the last couple of
You got a
months.
lot. You got a lot going on.
Yeah, the funny thing, for last couple, less now, slightly less now, but for the last couple of months, I've been publishing every day. And as I wasn't trying to promote myself, every day a coffee shop, different picture of myself drinking coffee. Why? Because I'm from Ukraine, and probably people know that there is a war there. I'm not in Ukraine now,
Right.
but I was when it was started. And so many people just write to me and say, "Are you okay? Are you still alive?" All this kind of thing. So I published for one of them one picture with drinking coffee,
Yeah.
and it was about 400 likes and questions and everything. I didn't. It's not that I'm popular, but obviously, especially at the beginning, war was so popular subject and everything. So and I started publishing it every day whilst I was still in Ukraine. When I managed to leave it, and I'm in Spain now. I don't do it that many, and I can concentrate on my work for Duda now. Yeah.
No, I love that, and thanks for detailing it. And I'll just give from an observer and someone who we worked together for some time and partnered together. I think there's a much larger content and search kind of community and world that was watching those coffee shop posts. Yeah, for sure. I certainly was, and I know whether they were connected to you or not. The entire MarketMuse Slack channel got every update. But no, but it really speaks to kind of your work in influencer marketing, throughout your career. And, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about like how you create relationships with influencers and, build those relationships.
I can. How did I start? And my one of my absolutely first one I interviewed was with Barry Schwartz. I don't
Mhm.
know why he accepted. I absolutely have no idea, because I did not have a single idea what I'm doing at that time. So I was doing live interview with Barry Schwartz. So what I've done, and I think it was 2015. What I've done, I've checked every single interview available with him. Lee Odin, I think, was very detailed one, and I'm trying to kind of change a little bit questions, change them and ask. So I didn't know absolutely what I was doing, but yeah, uh, seems to be Barry was okay with that, and it's how it starts, and I'm so happy it goes on, and we're doing more things with Barry, and it's so great to work with him. But obviously, you have to know something. So Barry would not do presentation. So
Right.
if you come to Barry and say, Barry, can we do this event, blah 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 blah, and after they say, okay, I expect presentation for 30 minutes, you most probably, unless it's a huge, most probably you will get no. So if you know that, and we say no presentation needed, you probably will get yes. So
Awesome.
this is extremely important things. There's a small things are really important. Um, my one of the next one was Bill Slavsky. We know Bill Slavsky has died recently, unfortunately,
Yeah.
and it was very similar with Barry, but I probably knew a little bit more about things. And it was an article in Bloomberg about rank brain.
Mhm.
And I remember Bill was writing about rank brain, and I wanted to have an interview with him about rank brain. I understand more or less every single word I was saying. but not the whole sentences, unfortunately. But still was a big progress. And I think okay, Bill was obviously some kind of slightly theoretical. So he knew patent very well. He knew this kind of highbrow stuff. So if you know where to bring Bill, where would be expert community, not just a community of people who wants to improve their ranking. So I think Bill was absolutely great addition to any kind of those events. So probably your question, answering your question, you probably should know as much as possible about your influencer.
No, I love the detail that you give. It's very much focused on kind of knowing your person, knowing your buyer persona, knowing your audience. I mean, you basically researched all of the interview history. You know their likes and dislikes. You understand where they, thrive, and then you provide that. I think it's a great opportunity. And with Bill, it's the same thing. That's not going to be for kind of a beginner crowd. That's an expert crowd. Specifically who you would target that. And when you were doing these and when you were doing the being prepared to generate relationships, you got to go in them. I like to say, show them that you know them, exactly in what you're describing. And that comes from kind of value selling or consultative selling. In the efforts that you've built in the past, a lot of these interviews and these discussions with influencers, they turn into communities, but they also turn into rich media content or audio or video. How have you historically gotten the most out of the rich media that you've produced in these experiences?
Okay, it's two things, because most of things I've done were kind of webinar or webinarish thing or online conference, exactly what you're doing right now. So naturally, the first first content you have is video. Obviously, video YouTube, we know how to deal with video YouTube. We usually get a lot of amplification. So it's why we're doing everything absolutely in open. We try to do it live, and YouTube usually loves it and usually amplify it. Last week we had a webinar with Barry Schwartz, Mary Haynes, and John Miller talking about Google updates. Okay, we have like 1,000-something registration and probably 300 people watching us. Today I check it is 8,000 views, 8,000, almost 9,000 views, probably 9,000 by now. Why? It's all organic, because we try to make sure YouTube think people likes it, and people do, and amplify it. And talking about content and about lead generation, for example, I've been given stick size like this, because obviously out of this, okay, it's 9,000 views, so 1,000 people were registered. So 8,000, we have absolutely no idea about those people, but we don't really care, because this is a content. People, if they like the content, they probably will find us.
Right.
And watch another video. But talking about video is not for everybody. We know that. So sometimes I'm absolutely lazy to go through 1 hour video. It's difficult. I prefer to read something. And what we've done at my time at SEMrush, we've started publishing transcripts. And the first transcript was completely failure. It was with Ali Oden, and we I just didn't think about, because I thought, for SEO reason, boom, I published technical transcript, like 10 or 12,000 words, 60 minutes, which was absolutely unreadable, neither for Google, I guess. Right. So what we've done, we employ, we contracted author who actually became better and better and better, and now he works under his name as well, not only Ghost, and he managed to squeeze this 10 to 12,000 word to something readable, like 3 to 5,000. For Duda, he's doing 1,000 words now, and it's readable, and and we go within 3 months, we got 600 organic growth on particular webinar, obviously from very low base, because before that it was only video and a little bit of description.
Right.
So having this, and it's not only for machine. As I said, some people, they prefer to read. Some people just go through it, find something interesting, and maybe even go to video and watch and listen it. But it really helps if talking about rich media.
I mean, you're talking about, that is the journey of most teams. It's you go from just the audio recording and a small summary. You do a raw transcription. You then start to clean that transcription up and start repurposing and doing annotation and linking it to the rest of your site. And then you start to see the magic of that, even starting to inspire how you might write follow-up content or do other follow-up items, and weaving that into the clusters of content on your site. I mean, so that's a beautiful story. I mean, the upside is dramatic. I mean, and you described it,
Yeah, just some small, okay, talking about video, is a video content. A lot of people has this kind of, well, I would call illusion, but don't kill me for that, illusion that you can take a webinar, cut the major part and make a shorter one. Right. It never worked for us. Right. Why? Why? Because when you have a pre-recorded shorter video, you usually expect it's reasonably smooth and structured. From webinar, it's so difficult because quality is, as a live video, or you're okay watching 60 minutes or something, it's fine. For example, John Mueller talking, explaining something fantastic, but quality is not there. It's never there, because obviously, even now, you do make quality. I can not here, there. I can see a shadow, which is not great. Well, I have my excuse. My lights are still in Kiev, so nothing can you do.
Your light's still in Kiev.
Yeah, but it's very typical for most of your experts. Some of them, they won't have great camera. Some of them they won't have, and people, when you do pre-recorded video, you do a few take, and you usually manage to get a smooth. And in a video, in a live video like this one, it would be this kind of things, and it would be very, very difficult to cut it and everything. So eventually, at the end of the day, you will never get some typical smooth short video. It won't be good. And especially, for example, when you're doing a webinar, you have big slide and you have small people on the side. It's not what people really want from a short video. So I wouldn't really recommend. It might work, but usually don't.
I think that's really great advice and really thoughtful. It's that as things get shorter, maybe you want to use a short blurb as a hook to get someone interested. But if that's your product, it better, when the shorter it is, the higher production value that's expected. And that's really where, some of these things, if you're translating that into a webinar, somebody expects that this is a discussion. These are people having a chat for a long time. There is a presentation.
You may be well off if you think something really important. You may arrange shooting with the same people, and do another one. But cutting webinar never really worked for us.
It's tough to make it work. It's tough to make it as engaging. It's tough to make the everything specific. When you have you require a great editor if you're using a large mass to make it a beautiful end result. I'm lucky enough to have a really great editor who does some stuff, but it's not always that.
But you still have my shadow, and you will have shadow from it, so it will never good.
It'll never be perfect here.
Never be perfect. I remember, I don't want to say a name, but I remember I have a great SEO, and it was my mistake, not hers. And she had she was doing it, I think, in the kitchen, and she had a huge rubbish bin behind her. And I missed it when we were talking. And when the button was pressed, nothing you can do. So she was talking about great stuff, everything. In front
garbage.
Garbage.
Well, on the other side, you get into a conversation with someone like A. Lee Judge, who I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. He has the most amazing studio you've ever seen, and so you do have to know. I think it's part of influencer marketing is knowing their shot quality and how reusable they'll be, and giving that advice. But so how do you develop these relationships over time? So how do you keep them going? I mean, in your case, they manifested in something kind of magical in that a lot of people were following you, in this situation. You just certainly didn't plan. But how do you keep these relationships going? Is it a Facebook community approach? How frequently are you communicating with the audience? LinkedIn? What are the different ways that you keep kind of the blood flowing on these communities of influencers and make them excited to talk to you, frankly?
Okay, first thing, and I won't tell you anything new. You probably should treat anyone the same way you want to be treated. It's my first rule. So, for example, I hate when people pushing me doing things, so I try not to push anyone. For example, I hate when people, for example, promise me something and didn't deliver. So I try to deliver it never working 100%, but I really try. Sometimes it makes things complicated because, for example, you have an event and you need people for this event, or for example, you need one person for this event, and you think about like 3 persons. You can't ask 3 persons at the same time, because if 3 or if 2 of them agree, what are you gonna do? You're going to tell someone no when you ask him or her. So this is horrible. So you ask someone and someone is not asking. So you don't want to push, but you need to push because you understand all the organization things. But you still try to think, how would you think about it? So this is a main point. Another point is to make sure everyone feels special. So, for example, I don't host. I used to host, but I don't host because SEMrush had the policy of a native speaker host. Never mind. So we do have some hosts, and we work with them. I can't say train them, no, but they got experience. Some people are natural born. But one of the very important things for host, important task, is to make sure everyone will speak their mind. Because sometimes you have a panelist or you have 2 panelists, one of them very talkative and wanted to answer absolutely every question and can talk for Olympics for a couple of hours, and another one slightly shy. So for host, would be very important task to make sure that the first one talkative talk slightly less, and another one would be pull out of his or her corner and speak up and given a possibility to speak. Because if you at the end of the event someone only said his or her name and sitting there for, I don't know, half an hour, 60 minutes and nothing, this is very bad outcome, obviously.
Well, I think that speaks to the prep and understanding the value of a great host and discussion and getting prepped. Because then when someone has that experience, they want to do more. Like you might have been the first person that pulled them out of their shell. And now they love you for it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The idea is not only content creation, which is of course legitimate, but the idea is to convert this person from person to person, to your friend, and eventually to brand advocate, and it usually works.
It does. Well, that's fantastic detail. And I think that, just summarizing, doing your research, thinking about all the artifacts that get built out of any interactions, whether it be a prep call or a recording of some sort, really extending the impact of the influencer work to the business and developing those long lasting relationships is part of really making someone feel special, because they are. I mean, they're giving you time in many cases, and you're also sometimes the only person they've had a great podcast experience or a great webinar experience with. How are you using this now at Duda?
Very similar way, because Duda is a site builder. So you would think, okay, and this professional site builder, professional means not professional site builders, but for people who lives from their sites. And you think, okay, if you want to live from your site, what do you need? You need sell something. To sell something, first you need traffic. If you don't have traffic, nothing you can sell. So it's why the first thing I've done, I try to bring SEO friend or SEO experts into our site, talking about SEO, not talking about Duda, because the idea is not to sell directly. The soft pie is always there, but anyone who got a site need an SEO. Yeah, but of course, anyone who needs a site need a content marketing. But nowadays, SEO content marketing is so so close, so sometimes you can't really can't put
A little blurry.
Yeah, here is pure content marketing. Here is pure technical on pages. So it's all interconnected. So obviously, I go to people who I do know, and I try to bring them and say, okay, you're not talking about Duda, as you never talk about SEMrush. You will be talking about what you do. So, for example, when we will have you, Jeff, you'll be talking about artificial intelligence and content writing. How it works. Very controversial because so many people old school think, no, it can't be done. But you prove them wrong so far. So
Well, that's really great. And it just highlights that. I mean, and for those of you who didn't get the context from this discussion, Anton worked with as influencer marketing lead at SEMrush and now works at Duda, where he's focused on, Duda being, like you said, the site builder, and he's building this influencer network and has many webinars kind of under his belt throughout kind of a wild few months. What would you like to describe? We talked about the coffee shop, the kind of thing that went down with you and posting your updates and where you were. What's happening now? Just to give a quick update for anyone that followed that journey with you, and what are you looking forward to in the next few months?
I'm looking forward to settle because we still live in Airbnb, but we've signed a contract here in Spain, Valencia, which is not easy for foreigners. So we're moving in a couple of weeks, and hopefully I can concentrate really on what I do and not thinking about. Well, you can't stop thinking about war. War is still there, but otherwise concentrate 90% on my work. And I just visited Israel office, Tel Aviv office of Duda. Was fantastic for
Awesome.
for fantastic 5 days. Yeah.
Wow, I'm so glad that you got to do that. It's been really amazing to see the search engine optimization and content and social communities kind of band together and support you, and many of the things that you kind of also supported. I was very excited as an animal person, also very excited to support. Go check out Anton's profiles. He supports shelters in Ukraine, and the great work that they're doing to keep animals.
Animal shit. The cats and dogs, small, very small one.
Yeah.
They go out of radar for this big charity organization. So
if you're so inclined, please go check those out. Support Anton and his efforts, because they're amazing ones. And it's really been a pleasure to have you for the Content Strategy Collective Live. I'll give you the last word, but thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff, for having me. Great stuff, and I had a great time.
Awesome.
I was really nervous because I didn't know I have anything to say. But
I think you've said a lot, and I'm really pumped that you joined us for this. And I think everybody's going to feel really good about building webinars for their business after listening to this, and that's what's most important. So, cheers. Thanks.
Right. Thanks.